it's Iveoma, your guide to Nigeria. Today, I am going to be breaking down how you can buy property in Lagos, Nigeria. I am chatting with Niyi.
Hi, guys.
Niyi is a licensed attorney registered in Nigeria and in the United States. So all of this is coming up. Please make sure to like, comment below. Those are amazing ways to support my channel. Thank you. I'm very excited to speak to you about real estate. Can you explain your background and like why you are like a great person to speak to us about real estate in Lagos?
Okay, so let me just say my full name is Niyi Shofowora. So I'm an attorney licensed in Nigeria and in the state of New York, and I have my law degree from the UK. I started practicing law in 2014. At the end of 2014, when I got my law degree in Nigeria, and I started with property.
Can you break down the steps on how diaspora can buy property in Lagos? I wanted to talk to an actual attorney who does this, who's worked in this field. So can you talk about that?
All right, thank you. So to buy land or buy property in Nigeria, in Lagos, it's very important that you view the property first. You conduct your due diligence, which is very important. Of course, you buy the property, get all the documentation necessary, and you have to perfect your title to ensure that you have the best title. When you finally decide that this is the property you like and you want to purchase it, you have to conduct a due diligence. And I like to think due diligence as a three-step process. There is the legal part where you have to get the documentation from the seller, and like it could be a certificate of occupancy that they currently have, that will give them title to sell, the authority to sell that land. And you have to go to the land registry to conduct the search to ensure that the land you are indeed buying is the land that it says it is, and the owner is indeed the owner. After I conduct the legal due diligence, you may want to also conduct a corporate due diligence as well, because there are a lot of developers out there with a number of companies, and they hide behind the companies in case things are not as straightforward as they seem. So it's very important to also conduct a corporate due diligence check in the corporate registry as well. Who's the company that is selling the land and things like that. Then also you have to actually conduct the fiscal due diligence to ensure that where the property is located isn't going to flood, isn't going to there isn't bad traffic. Ensure that the structure is good. It's not going to crumble down after a few years, and the fixtures are what it's claimed to be. So those are due diligence that must be conducted. Let's assume that everything is perfect up until that stage. You go on and buy the property, enter your agreements to buy the property. Then when you get the property, you have to conduct due documentation to ensure that you actually have the property in your name. And then you go to the land registry to update the register with the government. So you have to get a C of O or a new C of O to say that you are the current owner of the property, and anybody else that wants to make a claim on that property doesn't have the best claim, but you do. So that's basically the steps to conducting it. Yes.
That sounds like a lot of steps.
Not necessarily.
No, it really does.
Not necessarily.
A lot of diaspora, they're not here. So like when a lot of people have purchased lands that they haven't seen, like they've purchased land what they haven't seen, and they've gone through all these steps. Like, do you advise that?
Well, it's complicated because it's advisable to see what you're buying, because we can have people do developers or sellers do renderings, take pictures, but you take pictures, but when you get there, it's really not what you expected. You don't want to be disappointed. As I said, it's a big commitment. You're spending all this money. You want to make sure you're getting what you paid for. I always advise to go and view what you're buying, and ensure that, if you can't come in person, get someone that you can trust to do it for you, and ensure that what you're paying for is literally what you're getting. There are many times that people buy without actually seeing, and they end up being a good transaction. But it's Nigeria, as I said. It's not always so straightforward as just seeing and buying. You want to ensure that everything is done properly.
I know a lot of people are very worried about getting ripped off. So how can we do our due diligence, right?
Due diligence in property is literally just checking to ensure that the property that you're buying is owned by the person you are selling. I have handled, legal disputes of someone saying they own this property and someone else saying, no, it's me that owns the property and all of those things. So you want to avoid all those issues because those issues, first of all, are not even easy to resolve and they can be in court for years. You don't want all that headache. So it's very important to, when you have gotten to get the documentation from the seller, you take that documentation to the land registry in Alausa, and there's like a whole system there. You would, you make a very small payment and you can actually see that the title you have, the document you have, is the same document registered with the government. When you have that, that gives you that. And, another thing is that the document with the government usually shows every single thing, like the history of the land, who got it
every time it was sold.
Exactly. You want to check all of that. And if it happens that you see it, everything, adds up, the document you have and what is with the government, everything is together, then, okay, fine. The document is good. The property is good. It's owned by the person that is selling. Is the actual owner of the property. So that gives you the confidence you need to go on with the transaction. But I always like to talk about the fiscal due diligence because traffic, all the other things that involve traffic, flooding, these are the things that you can't really see from just seeing a property unless you go at the time when maybe there's traffic or there's flood to know, okay, what's the proximity from A to B? Is my car going to get stuck in flood? Are the road bad and is the road bad to get there and all those kind of things? So
Facts.
It's very important to conduct that physical, do your own personal due diligence to ensure that what you're buying is not just, apart from it being, legally perfect, that you have to ensure that you are going to be comfortable at the place you're buying.
Yeah, that's very true. They say the best time to buy is during rainy season.
Of course, because you see all the gaps.
Yeah, that makes sense. So why is buying property so tricky in Lagos? Why do I hear so many horror stories?
So there is the agency and legal fees, which everybody knows about, and sometimes it's not always clear what percentages are involved in those, and it's after you've committed to it, then they tell you that you have those fees. There are also like some estate fees.
Why isn't it clear? Isn't it standard? I thought the legal fee was a certain percentage in every contract, and then the agent fees a certain.
Yes. So yes, agency and legal fees are set, but sometimes may have estate fees. You may have connection fees, all these random fees that it's not part of, it's not germane to the actual purchase of the property, but you have to have it, you have to pay for these things to either get estate services, connection. So, but you want to know how much all these costs are beforehand, so you can plan you can budget properly, you can plan properly. Like you can buy a property of, let's say, 40, 50 million, 70 million. You have it, then they tell you, oh, you have a 2 million connection fee to connect water or electricity to the property, or you have, there's some land use charge or something that plan for, you don't know about. But it's important to, I think the transparency in the transaction is very important, and you don't find that very often, especially when you're dealing with, single agents and single agents and single sellers. So there's also a lot of fraudulent agents out there, fraudulent sellers that are posing to be an agent for a particular legitimate seller, or a seller that is claiming he's selling a property but it's not really his own property. So these are things that's why you have to conduct your due diligence to ensure that the price you're paying is what you are getting. And there's a lot of good properties and affordable properties, but they're not as many.
Let's go over due diligence again, because I know people are watching, and I know they really want to pay attention to this. They need to do the physical due diligence, which is actually viewing the property or sending someone they absolutely trust to send them video or the property, and to check if the property floods or traffic is just insane, or the roads are crazy, right? Legal due diligence, you said they need to take the paperwork sellers are going to give them. What paperwork exactly should a seller supply to you before you purchase the property?
Yes, you want to get the survey plan, and
Survey plan.
the the deed of assignment, C of O. They'll
Wait, so
tell you
wait,
what they
survey
are, but
plan, the duty, what was
hmm
it? Wait, I'm sorry. Let's say it a little bit slower. You said
okay.
the
So the survey plan,
survey
you
plan.
won't get the survey plan, yeah. You won't get the C of O. It's called the certificate of occupancy. That certificate of occupancy is the best title that any seller can have. When you get a certificate of occupancy, it means that the government has given you the authority to, be on that property. You have that. That means that you have the governor's consent to live on that property, and it is yours. So
Wait, the deed of assignment, is it different than CFO?
So when you buy a property, you will receive a deed of assignment you should receive a deed of assignment from your seller. That deed of assignment should say that you paid a certain amount of money, or the money of the property was given to you by gift or any other means, but you paid a certain amount of money, and because of that, in consideration of those fees, the property has been transferred from the seller to the buyer. When the buyer gets that document signed, you take that document to the land registry, and the land registry will, you pay some fees to them, and they would, give you what they call governor's consent. Is the governor's consent like the state authority to be on that property?
Uh-huh.
When you receive that, that gives you the best title to the land.
The CFO. That's the best thing.
That gives the certificate. Yeah. That means you have the certificate to occupy that land.
Okay. That makes sense. So when from seller to buyer, you're going to get a survey of the land, which is what exactly?
Okay. Survey of the land is like a measurement of the plot to make sure it's the right square meters, the square meters of the plot. So it's usually done by a surveyor that registered surveyor. So he measures up the land to make sure make it 500 square meter property or 1,000 square meter property. It gives you the confidence that measurement is correct.
Yeah.
Usually that survey is usually attached to your deed of assignment.
Okay. Then
yes.
So you're getting a survey, a deed of assignment, and which is also called the C of O.
No, the survey and the deed of assignment comes together.
Okay.
You take that document to the land registry.
And get
the land registry registers, gives you a governor's consent, gives you, I think, so at least you know that, your document is registered in the government role.
Okay, yeah, that's amazing. I think the tricky part is that this is so much paperwork and it's not digital.
That's very interesting. It's funny because when you get to the land registry, you actually, everything is on a computer.
Okay.
Yeah, they sit you on a computer and you search for your title there. So yeah.
Okay.
So everything is digitalized, just that the process of the transactions are not as digitalized as you'd like. I cannot just search it from the comfort of my home.
Yeah, exactly.
When I went there, they have like a room full of computers. You sit down, you have somebody that tell them, this is what you're going to do. They'll tell you, okay, go to that computer, and they'll log in or sign in or something, and you search what you're searching for, and it'll come up. So what you're meant to see on the computer should be the exact same document you have. It should literally be a scanned copy of what you have in your hand. You go through it, check that all the pages are the same thing, because they annotate on the document. So make sure all the annotations are, the same thing.
Annotations, you mean good. Signatures? Is that signatures?
They actually write numbers.
Okay, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, okay. They write numbers, write words like, that this property, they will probably annotate. And when there has been a lot of transaction in a particular property, you will find that it is written on top of the same document.
Wow, okay, I see. That's very interesting. I've been hearing that people are buying land without C of O. Now that you said that's what people need to be looking for, I'm going to stress that to my audience.
Pause. Yes, a CFO is the main title that you can get for a piece of land or property. However, there are other titles that are valid. For example, a deed of assignment. So the CFO is the first title you get for a piece of land or property. However, the deed of assignment is another land title document derived from the CFO, which is just as valid. So I'm going to post some links below this video, and in the description box and in the comment section for you guys to find out more.
But I've been hearing that people have been taking risk and buying land without CFO, hoping that the government won't knock their houses or hotels. Because, okay, so let me tell you guys, if you buy land here without CFO, you know the government can come to your land one day and just knock it down. That's actually what they did here. I live in Ibeju-Lekki. So they did that to like hotels. It was houses after house. They did to a whole, almost a state. They just knocked it down. So I don't think it's worth the risk.
It's not worth the risk.
Right.
I don't think it's more of buying property without CFO. It's more of buying property and not registering it.
Oh, okay, that's the problem.
Yes. So you buy the property.
Explain.
So you buy it, as I mentioned earlier, after you buy the property as well, right? You have to go to the government to pay the tax to the government that you bought this property, and you register that property as your own name. That's what they call perfection. You perfect that property to your name to ensure you have the best title. Without a CFO, you do not have the best title. That basically without the CFO. So what a lot of people do is, so for example, you want to buy a property, or you buy the property, but you don't want to go through the perfection because it can cost a lot of money. You don't want to go through the perfection part of it. So you just keep the document, you know, it's your property, and you know that. Now, this is where the problem arises. If, for example, after you buy the property, I now buy the property and I register that document.
Yeah.
So let's say your seller wants to be fraudulent. He sells the property to you, right?
Okay.
You pay him, he gives you the document. But he knows you haven't registered that property. You haven't perfected it to your name, right? So that means the property is still in the seller's name. Are you with me so far?
Whoa, is that
so
what's happening?
So the seller can then come and sell the property to another buyer.
I was wondering how people are able to sell one plot of land to 10 people.
Yeah, that's how fraudulence, happens. So the seller now sells the property to me. You bought it first, but the seller sells it to me. I go and register it. Because I register it, I pay the cost, I register it. If I come and I tell you, get out of my property, you have to go, because we'll take it to court, and court will give me the property because I am the one in the government record as the owner of the property, and not you.
So in that circumstance, how can someone protect themselves? I mean, okay, yes, no, you protect yourself by registering, but let's say you are the person that didn't register. Can you sue the seller, or like how would you get your money back?
It's your fault, basically.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Nigeria is savage.
You can, I'm guessing you can, but think about it, it's not just in Nigeria. This happens even in America here as well, the same thing. If I sell a property to you and I sell it to somebody else, the first person is basically first to register, first to pass the post.
That's true.
First to register gets it. So if I now, as a second buyer, go to register before you can take it up with the seller, but what is the seller's headache? It's your fault you didn't do your due diligence.
Wow.
Did not do what you should have done.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
that is.
No, continue.
And also the reason why what you mentioned about properties are being broken, are being destroyed demolished by the government, is because people did not go and register it. The government found out, and they are trying to they'll put like an X on it or something.
Yeah, they put an X on the gate.
They read that, this is not. But most of the time, the reason why that is X is really not so much about registration and things like that. It's so much as the property should not have been there in the first place. Is what they call a zoning issue most of the time when you see an X. So maybe they went to build a shop where it shouldn't be there. It shouldn't be there. Well, many years ago, somebody sold a fraudulent property to somebody, someone bought it, and that's how it got there. And because the property should not have been there in the first place, the person that owns the property will not go and register it with the government. Because when you register with the government will find out that the property that you've registered should not be there in the first place. And the thing about it is that
Wow.
Nigerian government is very snaky because they will leave you for probably 20 years.
Yeah, they
And
will.
one day they'll just like, you know what, I'm going to handle that now, and they'll just go and destroy your property.
No, it's true. They mowed down a hotel near me that they said had been there for 25 years, and it was on fraudulent. They said it should have never been built. So it was on fraudulent land. And so they knocked down a hotel. And I was like, wow, a hotel. Been here for
That's why it's very, very important to do your due diligence.
Wow, it's very important.
Go to the government, check everything is good. After you do that, after you buy the land, go and register your property at the land registry, get all your title, good, get your peace of mind. You don't want the government on your back. It's not necessary.
And do you need an attorney to buy land? Can you buy land yourself?
That's a very good question. Very, very good question. On the face of it, no, you do not. You can conduct your search yourself. You can go to the way, if you know where you can conduct the search yourself. You can review the agreement yourself. You can, do your perfection yourself, but it's advisable to get a lawyer, dot all your I's, cross all your T's to ensure everything is done properly. You can view it, but you may not know what you're looking for. So I always advise, get a lawyer to check all these things, to make sure things are done properly. I said it's a very big investment.
Yeah, it's a big investment. So what is your advice for diaspora who want to buy property in Lagos, Nigeria?
Conduct your due diligence very well. It's so important. As I said, view the property if you can. Go or get somebody to do it. View the property, check where it is, location, speak to people in Nigeria, get their advice on, this is the property I'm looking at. I mean, I know people don't like to talk about these things when they buy property, but someone you trust, talk to them. This is a good place. Someone that is in Nigeria, if you're not here, it is a good place to buy property. What's traffic like? What's the flooding situation like? What's the security like? Very, very important. What's the security like? And, conduct all your due diligences and, as I said, go to land registry, get the title checked. When you buy the property, go to land registry, get it registered as soon as you can. Get everything done. If you get done properly, you wouldn't have any issues. But when you try and cut corners, you try and, not pay somebody because you want to reduce your cost or you want to, find the easy way out, I assure you that there will be problems to encounter. It's simple. You just have to do your work properly, do things properly.
Well, thank you so much, Nii, for speaking to me. I appreciate it so much.
I'm happy to, get this, but yeah, thank you very much for this conversation. I thoroughly enjoyed it.